for service on the battlefield and beyond. The Bravo Podcast.
All right, what's going on, everybody? I'm Liam Cogan. This is the 3 Bravo Podcast, and today we're doing a Veterans Benefits Breakdown. Today we're going to be doing medical disability, so I'm going to be talking as fast as I can, trying to sound like one of those YouTube streamers on Twitch or whatever, and because there's just a ton of information to get through. This is something that people are constantly looking for all the details about because it can be so lucrative. But I am here to tell you that there are barriers in your way to getting properly rated, but that does not mean that everyone is on the path to getting 100% disability. It's just not feasible for a ton of people. However, if you're one of there seems to be two ends of the spectrum. I have to address this before we get into the information, but there's two ends of the spectrum. People who don't want to take any, and people who think they deserve 100 after working an admin job for 4 years. Both of you are wrong. So the 0%, I'm not getting checked. I don't want to claim any. Just understand that this benefit, this health insurance, will help you so greatly in the future address issues that you are very likely going to have when you get older, okay? TBIs, hormonal issues, all these kinds of things, they grow exponentially as you get a little bit older, and only when you get wise enough and really sit down with someone who's had these experiences do you realize that they are happening to you actively and how you've changed because of them. So I don't advise either paths, okay? If you don't deserve 100% because you did nothing and nothing happened to you and you want to just kind of spin some sort of yarn to earn it, don't. That's gross. You're giving us all a bad name, and you're going to ruin the service as it is. And if you're trying to claim nothing, don't do that either. Claim what happened to you. It's not about getting the money. It's about being seen by a doctor in the future. If you don't have anything in your record, if you are not service connected, you will be sorry. So moving on from that, what is the VA medical disability benefit? Well, it can range from getting paid $4,000 a month for the rest of your life, tax-free, to getting health care that you absolutely desperately need for injuries that you incurred during your service. That's really the down and dirty. You will be doing exit medical exams when you're going through the TAPS program. The TAPS program is mandatory no matter what branch of service you're in. That's the Transition Assistance Program. And just understand that this disability benefit was established because it was necessary. There are two parts to this. One is that physical disabilities and mental and emotional disabilities will hinder you from acting like a normal human being and having normal relationships and getting and keeping normal jobs. Two, the second highest reason, or the second most frequent reason for veteran suicide is financial issues, okay? Like, couple that with TBIs that are the reason you should be getting compensated for disability. Do not pass this up, okay? So who is it for? If you are a veteran who served active duty with a service-connected disability, it is for you. If you didn't get processed on your way out, so there's a lot of new legislation that opened up windows for Vietnam era guys or Bay of Pigs era guys who didn't get seen and didn't understand that medical disability was even an option. A lot of people deployed. I mean, I know people in my generation who went on deployment, came back, and then exited the military that day. You know, like, there was zero transition program for them. So understand that you may be entitled to medical disability and you have no idea how to start. It is a very simple process because you can take all of the stress and pressure out of your own hands. Now, I see a lot of Facebook groups and people privatizing information on how to get you a better medical rating or how to get you medically rated or whatever. Here is my breakdown of who to trust. Number one. So, and I'll tell you my process as well. It goes a lot like this. Number one, a VSO. So go to a veteran services officer. You can find one in your town, or you can find one in a big city. You can email one. You can find a veteran services officer, and this is a VA funded person. This officer is VA funded. They will do this for you for free. So no matter what, your first iteration should be through a VSO. If you don't know if you're entitled to benefits, contact a VSO. If you should have gotten benefits and you don't know where to start, contact a VSO. Your first step should be a VSO, because that VSO is going to get your information and help you build a case. Your initial case, right? I could tell you the name of the number of every single page and every document you need to substantiate your own case and send it in yourself, but you don't have to do that, okay? Go to a VSO, build the case from the first place, and then submit your initial claim. Now, if that doesn't work, go to a VSO again. A lot of times with the medical disability, I've heard this offhand from a few different sources, and I've heard it from very, very, very credible sources, that there's a likelihood that you are going to be 30% underrated because they are going to believe everything you say 30% less. So if my knee pain is at a 70%, they're going to write down 40%. I've heard that from very credible source. I'm not going to reveal it, obviously. But if that is the case, your first claim is just to build a case. You're saying, I have these issues, they're service connected. Please, will you, help me work through them, help me get seen for them. Now, as you're building that case, if things don't go your way and you get rated at 30% and you believe you should be 40, go back to another VSO. I know it will sound redundant, but go to another VSO and get a second opinion, a different one. Do not go back to your same VSO. Go to a different one. Unless they're like really good, they're really responsive, go to another VSO. If you're not getting a response from your VSO within, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, do not continue to use them. Even if they're a friend of a friend, like, hey, bro, you got to use this guy. He's a really good dude. He's just really busy right now. If they're not responding to you, fuck them. It's your life. Take control. Find another VSO. You can change however many times you want. Now, find someone that you can work with. If they continue to tell you, no, you don't have a case here, no, there's nothing to be done here, the next step is not to go to a Facebook group and see what all these fucking dipshits are texting each other and saying, oh, well, this is what happened for me. Oh, I heard this. You do not need 90 people in a chat telling you poor information to get you to where you need to be. What you need to do is one of two things. You can either go to another VSO or you can go to a law group. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Now, people aren't going to like that I said that, and I really don't care. Here is why it's legitimate. They are going to take all of your information and they're going to take it completely out of your hands. I would only work with a law group that is going to do it for part of your back pay. Never give anyone money for this up front, ever. If there is a person who is not a lawyer, if there's a person who is a lawyer, if there's a doctor, if anyone wants you to pay them up front to get this rating, do not do it. Here is why. If you pay them and you don't get a rating, you lose that money. They're stealing money from veterans. Scumbags, disgusting. If that's you, I hate you. Second, if you go to a law group that is going to take it out of your back pay, they won't take your case if there's no case to be made. Why is that important? Because you're not going to lose money and you're going to get a professional view of your specific medical disability case, right? If you think you need to be rated this and you go to a law group that's not going to take money till after, and they say, listen, we're not going to take it on because we're not going to make the money back on our time invested, guess what? You don't have a case. Or go try with another one, or try with another one. Or you can battle this thing for 15 years, waste all your time to try to be a government sponge. Or you could legitimately just go to a lawyer and see what they say. If they will take your case, I would recommend you let them do it. Here's also why. Because they're getting paid. VSOs are not getting paid what a lawyer is going to get paid for running your case, okay? A lawyer is going to get paid well for getting this transaction done, and it's out of your hands. You can focus on school. You can focus on my 10 steps to being a better to making a good transition, and you can focus on your family, your friends, your life. Okay, you've suffered enough. Don't let this eat up your mindset, and think about it for year after year after year. And don't go to some fucking regular person who says they're going to give you a better rating if you pay them money. Just don't do that. Stop funding these creeps. Okay, so the next part we're going to get into real quick here because we have limited time, and like I said, it's such a massive benefit. But those are the steps. Those are like the literal steps of what you're going to do as far as working with someone to get this done. I don't recommend doing it on your own. It is an absolute waste of time. Work with a VSO, work with a VSO, work with a VSO, switch to a lawyer, switch to another lawyer, and then maybe if it's your personal, vendetta to keep going at it, go at it alone, because that's what you've earned. If you're going to suffer through this, that's what you've earned, because nobody believes you. And maybe you have earned it and nobody's listening to you. I understand that there are crazy cases out there. I'm not saying it's not a battle worth fighting, but understand what your time is worth and how you could invest it properly and make your own money outside of just letting this consume you. Now, here are the legitimate steps. So step by step, here's the process. Prepare for your claim. So if you're getting out in the regular way, preparing for your claim is going to start 180-ish days out from your EAOS, end of service date. You want to prepare for your claim like this, okay? Get a sheet of paper, get a piece of notebook paper, get a sheet of white paper. Write down everything that you think you've injured in your service: your knees, your ankles, your back, your elbows, your wrists, normal stuff, headaches, migraines. If you got herpes simplex while you're in, if you got anything crazy, you're wetting the bed. Now, write that list out of what you know, and then you're going to want to check out a few different links that are in the description here, but one of them is to the Electronic Code of Federal Regulations, Title 38, Chapter 1, Part 4. Okay, what is that, right? That is a complete list of disabilities that you can be rated for. Okay, not all of them are going to give you 100%, not all of them are going to give you whatever, but they're a complete list of disabilities. Go through that. So if you're drawing a blank, listen, this happened to me. I forgot that I broke my tailbone, fused 2 discs in my spine, and built like a hematoma, kind of like weird contusion in my left butt cheek. Like, I forgot that. When I was doing my VA claim stuff, I forgot that happened. I've had a lot of other things happen to me, but listen, it's easy to forget what happens over 10 years, right? That was like a nothing event. I was drinking, whatever, whatever happened to you while you were in service. It is not just like combat related. It is not just active service. I was jumping out of a helicopter. I was, doing admin paperwork and I stabbed my finger. It is everything while you were in. So the next portion of that is you're going to be checking in with your command at about 180 days out. Somewhere in that ballpark, you're going to be checking in with your command medical to start your checkout. They're going to have you go through all your medical exams. If you have things that need to be X-rayed, if you have things that need to be, if you need MRIs. If you say there's something wrong with your bone density or your muscles, they're going for MRIs. If you say you broke something or you have some sort of fracture or whatever, a weird growth, they're going X-rays. You're going to be getting all these things done based on your visit with your doctor. So take that piece of white paper that I told you to write everything down on, take that to your visit with your base doctor, and they are going to get you basically all the substantiating evidence you need to make this medical claim. So this is where you get all your X-rays and all your MRIs and all that crap. Then you go to your VSO. You say, here's my medical paperwork. Here's my appointment schedule. Here's my big Bible of my medical binder. And here's my dental stuff. You're going to be checking out with your command, checking in with your VSO, and they're going to guide you from this point onward, if not already, like if you're not already being guided by them. The next thing you're going to be doing, and it's not going to really be you're going to be setting medical exams with your VSO. So that's different than what you just did. What you just did was compile a bunch of evidence. Now you're going to bring that evidence to your medical examiner, and they're going to ask you a bunch of like, can you touch your toes? Can you do this? Can you do that? How about you do this? Where do you feel pain here? During that exam, understand me, this is an important part of what I am saying to you. They are going to ask you at what point you experience pain when bending certain appendages in certain ways. The question isn't how far can you bend? It is where do you experience uncomfortability. Now remember that, and I know this to be true, I have tons of joints that hurt. Sometimes they feel better than others. Sometimes you feel better than others. Do not forget that sometimes your brain hurts more than it does right now. Don't forget that your joints hurt more than they do right now sometimes. Let them know that. Say, this is where it hurts, okay? So if you generally can't bend your knees, but somehow you're having the best day, you had fish oil or whatever the fuck, and you're just like, you're on cloud 9 at this appointment, just understand, go to where it hurts. Let them know that. Don't bend as far as you can. Dude, I'm flexy like Gumby. I can touch, I can lick my butt cheek. Like, I am so flexible, and it totally boned me on my exam because she said, how far can you go? And it screwed me over. So I'm pretty butthurt about that. Err on the side of more with that. And then the medical exams or the mental exams, a lot of people get weirded out about. If you're having like a PTSD exam or you're having some sort of exam for whatever, or the VSO or whoever can just set this up for you, okay? If you go to a mental exam, do not be afraid of any kind of rating, following you around, ruining your life. Just talk to them normally. It's going to be like 15 minutes tops, just like this podcast. And then you'll be walking out. Now, if you're worried they didn't listen to you, they did. They're just doing exactly what they do for every veteran. It's about 15 minutes. It's pretty quick. They're making an assessment and they're moving on. If you don't like what they said, you can go back and fight it, okay? When you go back and you contest a rating, like you went with the VSO and you didn't like it, you contest a rating, you are contesting everything, okay? Work with that VSO, say, I don't like what they said here. You can look in your DBQ, which is basically, the binder of what people are saying inside your medical record for this examination. And you can say, I don't appreciate what they're saying there. They weren't listening to me. That's not what I said. Then you work with your VSO or you work with the law group or whoever, or you work with a Facebook group because that's really going to work. I'm sure it does for some people, but it takes longer and it takes more of your time and energy and it's stupid. Just give it to somebody else. Give it to a professional. You can look at that DBQ and contest any of that stuff. So the next step, you await your rating, you get your rating, and you can contest it again if you'd like. That is this cycle of medical disability. It is not the craziest thing in the world. A lot of people make it out to seem like it doesn't make any sense. There are a lot of things that are confusing about it when you're going through it at first, but if you take a second and learn what's going on, it's really not very complicated. If you're getting rated inside a city like Virginia Beach, like I did, or Norfolk, just understand that is our largest population center for military people between Chesapeake and Virginia Beach. You are not going to be seen with as fresh of eyes, I'll say, as if you were in like Tennessee or if you were somewhere that's not in, the theater with a million people running through these examiners all day long. Okay. Just understand that if you want to wait and get rated or go to your exams at the place where you're going to move to, something to consider. And then the next thing is the very last thing I'm going to touch on, because this is going way over my 15-minute protocol, is understanding your rating math. Rating math is not some shyster trick where they're totally effing you over. I'll explain it really quickly like this, okay? If you're watching this on YouTube, it's going to be a little easier to understand because you can look at me while I'm doing this. Your first rating is based on 100%, okay? So it's basically learning how to grade on a curve, if you will. Your first rating is based on 100%. They'll take your biggest one, so 50%. They're taking that out of 100%. 50% out of 100% is 50%. So they're taking it at face value, right? They're giving you that full one. It's 100% worth of this 50%. Everything from there on out is taking a percentage of the remainder. Okay, so the remainder of 50 is 50. They're taking, so your next one below 50 is 40. So I got 50 for PTSD. I got 40 for a massive TBI or something. That 40 is coming out of 50. So if you do 40 times 0.4 times 0.5, it is not going to be the same thing as 50%. The 40% loses a lot of its power, and then it gets added to 50%. Does that make sense? So 50%, 40% of 50%. Okay, so part of number one. So this is my first rating, PTSD. Part of PTSD is my next rating. My next rating takes part of that. So then you end up with a percent of that, and then you add those together, okay? And then that's your new percentage. So 0.4 of 50% is something like, let's call it 20%. So then you add that 20% to 50%, and now you're at 70%. And then you do it with the next one the same way. So then you got 10% for bad hearing and tinnitus and something else. That 10% of 70% is 7%. So then you add that 7 to 70, and now you have 77. Then you move on to the next one and the next one and the next one. If you're rated for a lot of things, you have what's called a combination rating, and that's how it's going to work. If you have a single thing that you're rated for, it's just going to be that number. I'm Liam Cogan. This was the Veterans Benefits Breakdown for your medical disability. This is 3 Bravo. And if you have questions or you need help, reach out at 3bravo.org. Check you guys next time.